Let's do it. Miami Dolphins. The pressure. He's in trouble. Loses the football. Touchdown. Got it. You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle. It's a Dolphin touchdown. Throwing deep upfield on the near side. Man open. Touchdown. Looking deep. He's got a man. Touchdown. The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown. He's going deep. He's got it over the touchdown. Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. 1, 2, 3, let's go!
You're listening to Fin Too Deep.
Tua back to throw. Blitz coming. They get to him. No, he takes off running. And he's in. Touchdown, Miami.
With the sixth pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jalen Waddle.
Giving you unfiltered, informed, and controversial takes on the Miami Dolphins and the NFL Draft. Here's Reason and Neal.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one as we dive Fin Too Deep. As always, we're your hosts. I'm Reason, joined by Neal Driscoll as day 7 of Dolphins training camp concludes. We got a lot to talk about today. Braxton Berrios and Tua Tagovailoa continue to build their chemistry. Christian Wilkins continues to look dominant as he vies for an extension. Cam Smith, or as I call him, Killer Cam, well, that just equates to a stud. And we got a lot more to go over, including McDaniel talking about Tua having more pitches in the arsenal. And we got 20 minutes. You heard me right. 20 minutes of exclusive training camp footage you will see nowhere else. So we're back on Spotify. We're back on Apple Podcasts. Wherever you listen to your podcasts, this gets uploaded after the fact, after we go live here. And I implore all of you who are listening to us through those, come back and watch this one on YouTube. Just search Finside the NFL if you want to see the training camp footage for yourself. And we're going to have a little chit chat while we go over that training camp footage. We're not just going to sit here with our jaws dropped and catching flies. But Neal, how are you feeling? You know, the defense looks like it hasn't lost a. Imagine what this. I can't say it hasn't lost a step without Ramsey because you don't know what it would have looked like. But my Lord, what would it have looked like if Ramsey was still healthy? And also, you know, I asked Ball Game and I asked Richmond on the latest episode of The Finish Line. Neal, I want to ask you, who's your top performer of camp so far? Now we could all say the obvious of David Long or Tua. I said Cam Smith. Richmond said Kendall Lamb because how he's looked on both sides, and Ball Game went off, out there with Noah Benogany. Who would you say is your top performer of camp so far, with the obvious of Tua leading the offense and David Long leading the defense aside?
Yeah, I think it's when you think of something like this, it's you have expectations. Like I expected Tua to go out there, Waddle, Tyreek to go out there.
Yeah.
For me, the guy who I'm going to give it to. And it's because I think a lot of people are going to be eating crow sandwiches because of this guy next year. And I think it's Bradley Chubb. I think Bradley Chubb's home. And what I mean by that is he's in a defense. He's familiar with a coach that's familiar with who maximizes his strength. I think when we look at this season in the rear view a year from now, that we're going to go back and say Bradley Chubb is the defensive MVP of this football team. And there's people out there that are a little contrarian about the contract that we gave him, and it was big money. Unfortunately, that's the cost, what it costs to get premier pass rushers in this league. With that said, I mean, Christian Wilkins is making me change my mindset on a daily basis where, I'll just be honest. I thought there was a part of me that was saying that, we could probably live without this guy. I don't know. He looks like a franchise type of defensive lineman out there. And then David Long Jr., man, is what we've wanted at that position since Zach Thomas retired, right? I don't know if we've had a linebacker who has the ability to get to the line of scrimmage that fast and scrape and, make the big hit. And there's a lot of guys. And then you mentioned Cam Smith, and I think it's at that point, you don't want to jump ahead of the kind of the situation. You don't want to overreact, but this is a guy that I had mocked 14th overall in my initial mock draft last year. That means that I had him as a top 15 type of player at a premier position. And I had him going to the Baltimore Ravens in that mock, a team that loves corners. You can have all the skill in the world. You got to have an attitude and a swagger when playing that position. Cam Smith has that in spades. And I just told you this before we jumped on the air here. I think that Cam Smith, the injury to Jalen Ramsey is going to give Cam Smith an opportunity, and it might push Xavier Howard out of the door, regardless of how he plays this year, because of the cap ramifications of that, right? So it's a good problem to have right now. And we haven't talked Reason on the air. I haven't been on the air since the Jalen Ramsey situation, man. And, that injury, and, we know that he's fighting to come back, but I feel okay about this team right now, despite Jalen Ramsey not being out there. I really, really do. And at this point last year, if we would have lost, our best defensive back, I would have been mortified. I actually have faith in the young guys that we've drafted and the coaching. And I think that's a big part of this, is that the coaching is just on a different level on the defense. We're talking all defense. We're naming our surprise players of camp.
Yeah.
That should say a lot about what we think about this defense.
What are you doing for the game tonight?
I will be watching it. The Jets have become my least favorite team in football. I'll just put it that way, just because of the Twitter wars that are going on out there. It doesn't mean anything, but I'd like to still see them get smacked around. I think we'll see a lot of Zach Wilson out there. We'll see a lot of bad football, that means. So I'm not too excited. I can't wait for our boys, though. I am so excited for our first preseason
Joint
game.
practices next week, though, even before the preseason game.
Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons are in trouble. They're coming down, and they're not. I just don't think they're going to be ready for what's going to happen to them, especially up front. I think we're going to bully the hell out of them, especially when their offense on the field. Desmond Ridder, man, say your prayers, buddy.
I've heard the good thing about Desmond Ridder. I mean, I know someone was posted on social media a couple of days ago that miss he had to Kyle Pitts that was behind him, but then they left out the context of the miss that was his only incompletion of the day. I've heard Desmond Ridder's been actually pretty good in that offense, but yeah, the one I'm actually excited to see if he gets reps is I want to see a little bit of Bijan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's my rookie of the year prediction, dude. I'll say this, man. There was a big contingency of Dolphin fans that wanted Kyle Pitts when he was coming out, right? And this isn't a Falcons podcast, but you have to be pretty disappointed in Kyle Pitts if you're Falcons. That was a horrible throw. I know the video you're referencing.
Yeah. That was his only incompletion of the day, though.
You'd like to see your number 4 overall tight end, catch that ball, though. When you look at back in the retrospect of it, the fact that we took Jalen Waddle, and there was people that were disappointed in it. I mean, there's no even comparison of the impact.
I was arguing with people in this fan base who clearly don't know ball, and before the draft, they were trying to tell us take Devontae Smith. If we take Waddle, that's a huge mistake. And I said they're all crazy. Waddle, wide receiver 1, and look at this guy, bro.
Yeah, Waddle's closing that gap with Tyreek Hill already. He's closing it. It's crazy. He's gonna have a huge year. He's gonna be amazing this year.
Yeah. So let's start it off because we got a lot to go over today. Let's start off with, I want to talk about something that Mike McDaniel said here for everyone, Neal. And what it was it was kind of interesting because Mike McDaniel was talking about Tua during his press conference today. And let's play and show people what he was talking about.
All the muscle he's put on. How do you think that might help him, and will you look for any of that on Saturday?
Arm wrestling competitions. He's less prone to defeat. There's unintended consequences. He really took his training on his body serious this offseason for a multitude of reasons. I've seen various things where there's just he has a little more short area explosiveness, where able to manipulate yourself in the
Footwork,
pocket,
baby.
At a more, explosive rate. He's also, I don't know this to be fact, but it appears by my layman's eye that he has more pitches in his arsenal. Like, he can layer stuff and drive it just with even more command than he's already pretty adept at, considering his accuracy. So I think it just overall helps him feel prepared and execute a lot of things, and the residuals are apparent and various.
So he's got different pitches in his arsenal than he had last year, and he used a couple of examples, like the way he's layering the ball, the command he has the ball on the ball, et cetera, et cetera. What are your thoughts on that? Because, I mean, listen, another thing that I was told is there's obviously, people I've got in the stands over there that report back to me, people I got, connected to the team that report back to me. And I'm hearing it's noticeable the velocity's improved as well, too, what are your thoughts? Because those are some, when you break down, I know it can be hard to listen to McDaniel at sometimes, but he did say some pretty key things there. And let's break it down. He basically said Tua's gotten even better at quarterbacking. And that's a scary thought, Neal, given the ceiling we saw last year in this offense.
Well, I think a lot of people have to remember that when Tua came into this league from Alabama, the type of injury he was coming back from, it wasn't snap your fingers, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like we as a football fan, we've tend to lose our patience with things where, typically how an NFL quarterback was groomed is we will take you, you're going to sit on the bench year one, you're going to learn behind some veteran, we're going to slowly turn the keys over to you because the development is, it's crucial, right? Well, this guy, probably got thrown into the fire a little sooner than he was probably even prepared or ready for. He was, you had Ryan Fitzpatrick playing at a high level and he was thrown in, but he was just months removed from an injury that some people thought could have been career threatening. So I think just the natural transition of the injury, it takes a couple years to fully recover. And I think you're seeing him stronger than he's ever been. But Tua's always had a very talented arm. It wasn't just the arm strength that, we like to see those old quarterback competitions with Dan Marino was throwing at bullseyes and all that stuff. But Tua has a really unique, because he knows when to put touch, when he knows when to throw with velocity. But I think, this is a testament to the way he attacked this offseason. As soon as he got healthy, he was out there working every day. He didn't take days off. And I'm on record to say I think this is going to be Tua's best year. I think we're going to see over the course of the entire season what we saw for the first half of last year. And, I also think that, there's a little bit of a humbleness to Mike McDaniel. I think he has a lot to do with the growth that Tua's showing, right? Like when you have good chemistry between your head coach, who's your offensive coordinator, and your quarterback, there's a lot of synergies there. And Mike McDaniel has done an elite job of letting players play to their strengths. And that is one of the most important things about a coach. Embracing them, put them in situations to win, letting people play to their strengths. That is what we're doing with Tua Tagovailoa, and that's why we're going to see the best version of Tua. I think it's great that, there's Burrow, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes in the Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson in this conference, because of that, he'll be a little bit overshadowed. And I think he's going to catch a lot of people by surprise because, I think us Dolphin fans that watch a lot of tape, pay attention to this team, have high expectations. And there's some in the league that do. But I think the level of play we're going to see is actually going to even exceed that this year. I think this guy's going to be a legitimate MVP candidate, solidify himself as the next, the quarterback here for the next 5 years and beyond. And I think that's the best news Dolphins fans have had in a long time.
Well, for some who've got their agendas, another 5 years, they just fell out of their chair when you said that.
Yeah, you know what, though? Even agendas that I have and agenda, whatever, screw everyone's agendas.
It's about what's best for the team.
Let's win on Sundays. Let's win in the postseason. That's what I want. I don't care. Like, you and I are both on record that says I don't care how often I'm wrong. I'd rather be wrong and my team's winning. Yeah. And then, you can come back and throw eggs at me and all that good stuff. I just want this team to win. And this year, I won't accept anything less than playoff wins.
For sure. All right, man. We got 20 minutes worth of footage, so we're going to get into it right now.
Let's do it.
And then we're going to get into the articles after that. So let's get into this for your viewing pleasure, everyone. And as usual, I will we'll have a little chit chat as this happens here. So
What a beautiful facility, first and foremost. I mean, wow.
see those clouds though? Oh my.
It's always raining in Florida. You always get that afternoon rain.
Elijah Higgins, I think.
Yeah, that looks like me after 5 or 6 IPAs.
So you're going down to Canton this weekend, right?
Saturday morning.
You ready for that or what?
I mean, dude, I'm probably gonna cry.
I know.
I love
bring a box
Zach
of
Thomas,
Kleenex.
man. My second favorite player of all time, long overdue. I remember reading the Sports Illustrated article when he got his neck run over, and just watching a 5th round pick blossom to Hall of Famer, man. It was just an absolute beautiful thing here.
Gotta work on those pad levels, man.
Look at Agba, man. Agba looks good, huh? Look, you see him there?
Yeah, I've heard he's looked better on the interior than when he has been standing up.
But that's
good,
what I've
man.
heard. That's good for this
Yeah,
team.
but he's taken a lot of snaps on as an outside linebacker, right?
Yeah.
They're using him a lot standing up, which he hasn't done since Kansas City. But
they like versatility, though.
Fangio likes it because you got to be able to disguise. That's why there's people that are shocked about seeing cornerbacks rotate up to a safety position, not realizing that motion and everything dictates how these guys roll. Right, so you're gonna have X up taking half the field away, while safeties are coming up, creeping up. This is how it's gonna look.
Over under Jalen Phillips sacks 13.
I have him at 12.5.
Okay.
That's my over under.
Damn,
and I'm taking the over. And I'm taking the over. Man. What? What do you got? I think he's gonna finish with 15. I think he's gonna finish with 15. I think Chubb is gonna finish with like 12.5. Because Chubb's just going to be eating off those double teams.
Yeah, I know we touched it earlier. Christian Wilkins has looked amazing out there. Just absolutely amazing.
Which is scary because if you were going to get it done now.
I think they have to. I think that'd be good news, good momentum, and good mojo heading into the season.
Well, I think it's just it's good business. If he is in your long-term plans, get it done now. If you are weary of it and want to potentially get compensation, then okay, go into the season. But if he's in your long-term plans, you're just gonna end up paying more during the season.
Yeah, he's a good player, man.
David Long, look at this man, break that sled, David.
If healthy, this guy's going to be one of the biggest steals of the offseason.
He's gonna be a top 10 linebacker this year.
Yep.
And here comes Aubrey. Aubrey Miller's been pretty good. He's jacked.
Oh my God. Hulk Hogan 24-inch pythons, right? I'm jealous of those that are there, man. What a beautiful, beautiful facility. I mean, that is beautiful, man.
It is.
I got to give Stephen Ross credit where it's due. He does a lot of things that piss me off, but that dude, he'll spend money on this team.
320 of you in the room. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new, please.
There's Chubb, man. Chubb. God, he looks so good right now, man.
We haven't even gotten to team drills yet, guys. We got like another 15 minutes here. Chubb, I think you're right, man. He'd be, you know what, and I didn't even think about it. I was going to go Cam Smith or David Long or Tua were my performers, and you're right, Chubb's up there. And even Phillips, since he came back from being injured, Phillips has been making noise too, right?
This defense is so good, and I think actually I'm looking for silver linings, right? Just imagine that if, say, I believe Jalen Ramsey is going to beat December. I think he's going to come back in November. Just imagine when you're a team that's seen this Dolphins defense play, well for, more than half the season, and then they add a first ballot gold jacket Deion Sanders of his era type of player. You know what I mean, man? Yeah. Like, that is going to be the biggest curveball of this offseason, of the regular season, when Ramsey comes back.
I just don't want him to rush it. You know what I mean?
Me either, but, man, just think about this, right? Byron Jones gets hurt. We don't even see the guy all year. Ramsey's
This guy's out on
there every day
crutches. Yeah,
coaching.
giving tips and pointers. Like,
Right.
yeah, Byron was a clown. Let's be honest.
And Jalen Ramsey doesn't have to do that. But that
No.
says a lot about who
But
he
he's
is.
a leader.
And it says a lot about the culture of this team. Man, we got some big boys too, man. We are. There's Chubb.
Yeah, like even Randy Charlton broke a sled at OTAs.
I just got an
And they
email.
kicked him inside, eh? He's
Yeah.
he's no longer like an edge. They've been using him inside, I've heard.
I just got an email that I have $73 in my NFL points for, like, when you buy off NFL Shop and you get points. And I'm gonna buy a jersey, and I don't have a Bradley Chubb jersey in the arsenal yet. I think I'm gonna pull the trigger tonight.
I just can't believe they got rid of no vapors now.
They don't ever.
Ridiculous. Nice throw. It's
Yeah,
it's either like it's either authentic or you get screen printed. It's brutal. Ooh, nice defense on that one. Real nice defense on that one.
See in the
3-on-3
comments. come through.
action. I think a pick comes in the 3-and-3 action here.
I've heard X has been.
There's Jalen.
Yeah,
Speaking
there
of
he is.
Jalen.
I've heard X has got 3 interceptions in camp so far, so it seems like his ball-making prowess is back.
He had an interception in 3-on-3s today against Tua, I think.
Yeah. And it's okay to throw practices in training camp practice. It's okay.
That's
to
where you
throw
test. That's where you
Yep.
test.
You see where
There's
you
the
can
pick right there.
Yeah,
There's the pick
wow.
right there.
He got up too.
Yeah, but look at Tua was testing the back of the end zone. That's what you got to do.
Interference.
Oof, look at that shake and bait.
Yeah,
Oh man,
Really good sudden move.
River Craycraft out there.
You think River makes the team?
I know they love him. That's why I was always weird of if Cedric sticks around, because I know they want River to make the team.
You think the Broncos could be a spot for Cedric now that they have injuries just piling up at receiver?
Man, I'd take the USFL at the point we're getting to right now.
It's going to be a really tough thing to narrow down this 53-man roster. But they do love River, and they should.
Yeah, because he stepped up when they've needed him to, right?
Savvy, smart football player. Coaches like smart guys, you know?
For real.
I do
Speaking
think
of
Og was
coaches,
good.
shout out the ball game.
Yeah,
What were you going to say, sir?
I do think Og was going to have a good year.
Oh, yeah, I think once Ogla gets acclimated, he'll be good.
Yeah,
There's a reason why they're keeping him that salary around.
yeah, and it's probably going to be his last year here, and that makes sense. But I think he'll get a lot of different versatile looks up front. It's a big year for him too, because
Here we go, 11-11s.
oh, here we go. This is the fun stuff. God.
Look at the pressure. Look at the pressure, bro.
Well,
Like 3 sacks? Like, jeez. I heard our offensive line today. If it wasn't a sack, there was pressure. There's a big run.
who's that? Who's that busted that one?
I don't know. I couldn't see the number.
I know that Chris Brooks has been making some runs. We all saw that 95-yarder, but sounds like that wasn't just one run. He's been running pretty hard.
Oh, bad snap. Blew up the play. Connor Williams.
That right guy, the right tackle looks pretty good.
No, he's not. Whoever just said that the right tackle looks pretty good, that was wrong.
But he's going against other.
You catch the people in the stands too. Mike White handoff. A-chain.
Nice
That's
run.
a nice run.
You see his ability. You see his ability to just outrun the defenders to the.
Yeah, see how quickly he got to that edge, bro? Like,
Yeah,
jeez.
Yeah, he's gonna bust a couple this preseason and in the regular season.
Motion out, empty backfield. Here comes that pressure. Gets out quick. First
God.
down. Waddle in the orange jersey today. Oh.
False start?
Yeah. False start.
Let's go, Waddle!
Look at the pressure. It just stepped up. Ooh. There's a flag on the play. Pass interference.
And Armstead practiced today, limited or not really today?
Limited.
I've heard Kendall Lamb's look pretty good.
Yeah. Traylon Armstead's going to be, he was even limited last year too, right? He doesn't have to practice.
Yeah, I think Lamb's going to make the team.
Oh, yeah. He's making the team. They love him. Oh, there it is. Wide open. Ooh.
I got to admit, whenever I see Tyreek in a Dolphins uniform, I have to, like, pinch myself to realize that he's a Dolphin. He's just so good.
Nice find by Skyler. What a throw, though, to Erik, huh? Good find. Found him wide open. Easy E and Bradley Chubb got hurt today, too.
Yeah, I think Chubb just dinged his hand. I don't think it's anything serious.
Yeah, I don't think it's serious.
And we don't know anything about Ezukanma yet.
Call the number so we can hear it.
Skyler continues to grow, man.
Oh, step up. Oh, flush out.
You got tapped, dude.
Getting a sack in the
They
game,
wanted
probably.
that sack. Tua back in. Pump.
God, the
Step
pressure,
up.
though, man.
Woo! Finds Jalen. Nice throw, but the pressure's ridiculous, eh?
But it's also hard to judge if it's how good our defensive line is or just
Yeah.
how bad our line is, if it's a combo.
Oh, what a throw. Did you see that? Bam.
And it
Right
has
into
to,
that tight coverage, man.
I think it's
Woo!
a
You
drop.
gotta make that catch.
Yep.
Mike White back.
Nice
Find
little pass.
Cedric.
Cedric
There's
Wilson.
Cedric.
Yeah.
Oh, bad snap. Oh, still gets rid of it. Oh, pop. Pop.
Mike White's been pretty average, huh?
Yeah. Skylar, I've heard, look better. But Mike White's been better since the pads came on. Ooh.
I think Mike White's a gamer, man. I think he's a guy who plays well in games.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys like that, right? Where you see them in practice and they're like, eh. Then the game happens and they're just like, whoa. I agree, Scotty. Lamb is locking down that swing tackle spot, it seems. Even when they moved him to right, they said he was good when they moved him to the right side, too.
Well, he looked great. I mean, he got hurt quick against, was it Tennessee? But he looked great, right?
Yeah. Oh.
Cam Smith?
Yes, sir. There he is. Killer Cam. Oh, he's fine in the back of the end zone.
To run the games and stuff, and I come in off of the plane, or through security or something. You don't know how many people there, and just go to office. And they're those
Look at Jalen coaching up the kid.
Yeah.
Xavier Howard said, "What up, homie?"
There's Needham.
How's it feel, Nick? Looking good.
That's hilarious. Oh man, I would have loved to have been there just for that. So I was wondering about Nick Needham. There you go. Tua, back over the middle. Waddle shaking bait.
God, I love when Waddle has the ball in the open field. He's my favorite thing to watch in football.
It's ridiculous. Get that angle.
That I don't know if you saw that
Tua.
when we were down 7-0 against Baltimore, and that one big we were backs against the end zone. Waddle caught a ball. I think it was like a 50-yard pass. He was one-on-one with Marcus Williams to the sideline and put a juke and got like 20 more yards. And Marcus Williams is a good player. There's only like a handful of players in the world that can do that. Waddle's amazing.
Tua stepping up. Oh, big play to Mostert. I think that long run earlier that we saw was Mostert.
One of the
things
things
who that guy was.
Yeah, one of the things that's really frustrating me is that I would really like to see what Tua would be with a competent offensive line, man. Like everyone says that he can't create plays off script.
That's
right. All he does is create plays off script because pressure comes as soon as the ball is in his hand.
Chain again? Let's go.
A-Chain was really good in pass blocking and pass block reps, right? One-on-ones. Ooh. Look how fast A-Chain is, bro.
Oh, he's amazing.
Holy. Blink of an eye. You blink, he's gone.
There's definitely some gimmicks that you can run with an A-Chain, a Hill, and a Waddle.
It's unbelievable. So fast. Ooh, oh. Shut down. 2 on the run. Speaking of creating. Oh, he's high. Too high. Had him in the back of the end zone.
Wonder why hasn't no one signed Melvin Ingram?
There it is. Oh, nice. Oh, almost picked off.
We could use a true bell cow running back though.
Hey, Dalvin got to make a decision soon, huh?
I'd give him the ultimatum. I'd give a date and say you got to be here by this date or we're no longer interested.
Well, the longer he waits, the bigger of a chance it is for A-Chain. Oh, back of the end zone. Oh, where's the pass interference? Push right there.
Yeah, that was a push early.
Hard. There's your boy Chubb. Little too eager.
Chubb is a big dude though, man. God.
Yeah, I see. She comes off that edge. Good protection. Right up the middle.
No, I think that's Gaskin.
Gaskin's not making the team.
Nah. No, apparently Salvin Ahmed's look good too, right?
I saw Omar posted that he disappeared when pads came on, but I don't know.
Man, Mike White
this team,
didn't
though,
really look good today.
I wouldn't risk it.
I think you nailed it last week. There's got to be some semblance of buyer's remorse there.
Yeah,
He's not even an upgrade to Skylar Thompson, in my opinion.
I agree. Like he's in a legit battle with Skylar for the QB2.
I'll say this. I said it last week. Skylar, man, he leaves you wanting to watch more of him, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. Guys, 390 of you in the room. Smash that like button. Tua back. Takes the underneath.
His balance, man.
I did see, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, one of the most ridiculous
surrounding
takes that someone said that I guess Tyreek Hill looks like he lost his superpower.
I think they want them to run more plays.
I don't think that's
Frank
possible. I think Tyreek is a superpower.
Vic.
Yeah, I don't think.
I'm just not trying to throw people under the bus. I'm trying to be nice. I just can't imagine watching this, and that's one of your takeaways.
Oh, there it is.
God, man, when Tua's on, he's so surgical.
Bro, it's ridiculous.
Oh, it's Tyreek again?
He'll eat you all day.
That was Tyreek.
And he's so quick with it, though, that, like, he's one of the few quarterbacks that he can eat you up underneath quickly. Like some teams, they can't afford to eat you up underneath because their offense will take too long. The order of operations from the quarterback is too long, but he's so quick.
I've heard some good things about Raekwon Davis.
So have I.
Saubert.
I've heard he's looked unblockable on certain days.
Yeah, he got cut already, remember?
In one-on-ones, I've heard he's been
Wide
dominant.
open one earlier.
Tight ends, the tight ends, you know.
Come on, Saubert.
Yeah, the tight ends are it's definitely our weakest positional group.
Find a way to get Brock Bowers, right?
I want to see it.
Yeah, right. Good
Cam
luck.
Smith out there.
Brock Bowers is going to be a top 10
He
pick.
is. Come on, Cam.
That guy's like generational, bro.
Oh, I know. I was tongue in cheek.
Eli. Let's go, Eli.
Come on, River!
Oh, man. By the way,
Eli Apple with the breakup. There you go to end it, bro. Look at that.
and look, I'm not gonna act like an elite cornerback, but to get him for the NFL minimum for that much experience was a great move.
It was. I agree.
I mean, it was a great. I mean, like he was a bona fide starter, and he's one of the few corners in football that can ever say that he didn't erase Tyreek, but he kept Tyreek in check.
Yeah.
There's a short list that could say that, and I like it too because I like my defense to have a swagger, man. I like guys that talk a little bit. We've been too nice for 20 years. That's one of the problems we have. I don't want to get you bet now. Don't get me 15-yard flags by dancing and shit after the whistle, but you line up against someone, you tell them a little bit. I like that.
Yeah.
Especially at the corner position.
Yeah, and we've had some great corners, right, who talk trash. Remember Brent Grimes?
Sam Madison?
Yeah, even Sean Smith and Vontae Davis used to talk trash, and they were a good duo before he broke them up.
I liked Vontae, man.
I was so sad when we broke that duo up, bro. I was so sad.
And they traded him for freaking a pick, and they got Jamar Taylor.
Oh. All right, before we get into the training camp recaps, roster moves, they officially announced the signing of safety Miles Dorn, which had come out yesterday, and they also added linebacker Mike Rose. So a couple of moves by the Dolphins.
They both have something in common. They won't be on the final 53.
Yeah.
And they also signed, I think they also signed that Mark Gilbert, in all seriousness, a guy who's a cornerback at Duke. And he's got elite ball skills. He's got some serious, I think it was a bad knee, a right knee. But they just signed him, and I think he led the USFL in interceptions.
Oh, yeah, the USFL guy they brought.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if
he was the leader. He was the interception leader.
I think he's a guy that could find a way on the practice squad.
All right, so whoa. All right, so from the Miami Herald, as the Dolphins inch closer to their Saturday scrimmage at Hard Rock, the team instituted a few wrinkles to their training camp practice regimen. For the first time all summer, Miami had officials present during team drills. The Dolphins offense mainly picked up where it left off from its previous session Tuesday, performing well in a variety of situational drills. However, an all too familiar sight appeared for the unit. The offense was flagged for at least 5 false start penalties and 2 in a span of 3 plays. Pre-snap infractions were an issue for the Dolphins offense in 2022. The unit's 22 false starts infractions last season were tied for 9th in the NFL. Such issues can arise early in summer when an offense is working to cohere, but it's something to monitor as a team holds its scrimmage this weekend and a pair of joint practices in the coming weeks. Some other notable developments from Dolphins' 7th training camp practice. In what was another first, the Dolphins conducted half-field work with 2-on-3 or 3-on-3 pass catchers defensive back drills. Some highlights early in the drill, Tua Berrios, and we saw this, targeting Robbie Chosen on a go route along the right sideline, was intercepted by Xavier Howard. It was just his second interception in training camp, and he actually hasn't thrown one in an 11-11s yet. It's just been a 7-on-7 and a 3-on-3 interception. Defensive back Bryce Thompson recorded a pass breakup on a short pass to tight end Erik Saubert. Notice how they call him defensive back, not cornerback anymore.
Right.
Playing safety. Howard later deflected a short low pass to Braylon Sanders. Deshaun Elliott broke up a James Blackman pass to wide receiver Erik Ezukanma. Eli Apple was flagged for defensive interference, driving on a short pass. David Davis got a 40-yard touchdown pass to the right from Blackman. 11-11s began with defensive lineman Christian Wilkins bursting through the offensive line for a would-be sack of Tagovailoa. It's been a recurring theme for the fifth-year player, whom Coach Mike McDaniel praised for his daily energy. Afterward, it was a fairly successful session for the offense, though some plays were beset by the aforementioned penalties. On 3rd and 3, Tagovailoa found Jalen Waddle, who beat safety Javon Holland on an out route to pick up a first down. Tagovailoa completed a pass to Tyreek Hill for about 20 yards and Waddle on a shallow cross to convert the chains on 3rd and short situations. One of Tagovailoa's most impressive throws came in a goal-to-go situation as he found Hill for a 10-yard touchdown on the back shoulder catch over Howard. Tagovailoa also threaded a pass to Hill among 3 defenders on a 3rd and 8. However, it would have resulted in a big collision, but the defenders pulled up. Kader Kohu was flagged for pass interference while covering Hill on a short route in the middle of the field. Skylar Thompson also found receivers River Craycraft and Cedric Wilson on third and short situations to pick up first downs. In goal-to-go situations, running back Myles Gaskin, Salvin Ahmed, and Chris Brooks scored on short runs. White found wide out Braxton Berrios in the back of the end zone for a 10-yard score in a goal-to-goal drill. And I've heard that Braxton and Tua have been lighting it up together. I believe it was either Joe Shatter, Xavier Howard, or Omar Kelly. They tweeted out that Braxton Berrios and Tua were just displaying crazy chemistry today. Rookie running back Devin A-Chain speed is best on display on outside runs. He had a pair of impressive runs on Thursday, being the defense of the edge for sizable gains. But he had a pair of missed opportunities in the passing game. In one goal-to-go situation, he had his back turned to Tagovailoa running to the sideline, and his pass fell at his feet. On another one, he had a step on rookie linebacker Aubrey Miller in the end zone, but dropped a back shoulder pass from White. The Dolphins defense also made its fair share of plays, with the front seven continuing to cause havoc. Rookie cornerback Cam Smith, who seemed to record a pass breakup every practice, got his hands on the ball again. This time, a lunging effort prevented Thompson from completing a short touchdown pass to Craycraft. Andrew Van Ginkel had one of his best practices. He recorded a sack, tackle for a loss, and applied pressure during another goal-to-go play. Emmanuel Ogba at the edge well to force Ahmed to cut inside on an outside run, and the defense promptly pursued him to stop him for a short gain. In goal-to-go situations, WIlkins recorded a tackle for loss run by Ahmed. Cam Good set the edge to record a run stop on Gaskin. Elijah Campbell recorded a pass breakup in the end zone, deflecting a short low pass from Thompson to Julian Hill. Bradley Chubb and Raekwon Davis converged on Tagovailoa for a would-be sack in a goal-to-go situation. Justin Bethel and linebacker Jalen Phillips also recorded respective sacks. The Dolphins wrapped up practice with another new situational drill. Miami's offense had the ball on the 50-yard line with 30 seconds remaining and one timeout left, trying to get the ball in field goal range. First, Tagovailoa completed a pass to Hill in the flat for 4 yards, and then the offense used its final timeout. Tagovailoa completed a 7-yard slant to Hill, who was covered by Noah Benogany to the 39-yard line. Tagovailoa spiked the ball, and with a few seconds remaining, which would have set up a 56-yard field goal by Jason Sanders. Situational drill wrapped up with Thompson running the offense. Thompson completed a pass in the flat to Saubert, who picked up 7 yards, got out of bounds. Thompson was then unable to complete a pass along the right sideline to Craycraft, who was being covered by Apple. On 3rd and 3, Thompson completed a screen pass to Craycraft, but he stopped short of the first down marker at the 41-yard line. Like the first drill, Sanders did not attempt the field goal. Miles Dorn and Mike Rose participated for the first time with the new team today. They were wearing 35 and 59 respectively. Taron Armstead practiced for the second consecutive session, but did not participate in team drills, so he's limited. Keon Crossan, Jalen Ramsey, Ethan Bonner, Duke Riley, and Malik Reed did not practice today. Brandon Jones and Troy Williams remained in red non-contact jerseys. Nick Needham and tight end Tanner Connor remain on the physically unable to perform list. Ezukanma went inside the team's practice facility with a trainer in the middle of practice, did not return. Chubb was seen walking to the sideline and flexing his left arm during the practice period. So I know he said early on, you know, when you're trying to get that cohesiveness down, you might have penalties pop up. But Neal, this was a serious issue last year, and now in the offseason, I'm hearing the first time we get refs, it's an issue again. Your thoughts on like 2 false starts in a matter of 3 plays and 5 in total? Not good.
Yeah, and I think just, when you look at the offense line, for example, they're not good enough without the penalties, right? So when you make matters worse by getting penalties, and putting the offense always behind the chains, it's not good. They have to clean that up. Like, penalties are going to happen, don't get me wrong, but I watched too many drives last year where the offensive line, Tua would make a big throw, then it's like holding, 2nd and 20, and it's just like you can't win football games, especially in the playoffs, when you do that. My biggest takeaway from what I've seen is that the offensive line has 3 really good starters, and the 2 guys that we know that everyone, we're all waiting to take this magic step. They're not going to take that magic step. I hate to be the guy that breaks the bad news. So it's going to be interesting to see how the left guard and right tackle, position pan out, just because the players aren't good and they get penalized a lot. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that I don't know if it's correctable. Like when you have so much of a sample size of certain players continuing to do that, I don't know. You know what I mean, man? Like I'm at a point with some players where I am waving the white flag and saying, like, if this guy's playing, this is the expectation with him. There's not going to be this drastic jump.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks because you don't want to, you don't want to use high first and second round picks on players that don't pan out.
Yeah.
But there's just too much. There's too much sample size now to like ignore it.
And there's too much at stake to keep leaning on them. I wanted to get your thoughts on this because Joe Shad tweeted out today, Braxton Berrios has come on and is flashing some chemistry with Tua. And this has kind of been a theme of the last couple practices before we continue on with the recaps here, Neal. Your thoughts quickly, because it seems Chosen has gone quiet since OTAs and Braxton's making plays every day. You got guys straight up pointing out he's flashing chemistry with Tua. I mean, are you at the point right now where it looks like, the initial thought I had might have been right, that Braxton's going to lock in this wide receiver 3? And we know, Neal, he's the perfect type of receiver that Tua's loved since Alabama.
Yeah, I after kind of seeing kind of the bullets fly here, I would say that maybe the reason they wanted Robbie Chosen is insurance for Waddle and Hill.
The hill on the boundary? Yeah.
On the boundary with the speed. And, I think what we're seeing is that Braxton brings such a unique skill set to the table that it's going to be hard not to put him on the field as a number 3 receiver, right? Like that guy who's nuanced as a route runner. He gets separation, but he doesn't win it with speed. He runs it because he's a good route runner. And it seems like Tua's building some serious chemistry there. Like, it's funny. There's different levels of the offseason, right? In the OTAs, a lot of times you're playing against air, and then in training camp you're playing against a defense. And I just think you're seeing Braxton Berrios rise to the occasion. The fight's not over, but I don't see any way that the top 3 receivers aren't Hill, Waddle, and Berrios. And I still think that's a really good thing because Chosen, Eazy-E, and Cedric Wilson, I mean, those guys are number 3, number 4 receivers on a lot of teams in this NFL. So you're 6 deep, and I didn't even mention River Craycraft, and we know they like Braylon Sanders. I mean, there's 8 guys there. And, Freddie Swain, this guy has caught passes and big plays in the NFL. So it's a loaded room. I hope that I hope there wasn't fool's gold we saw with Robbie Chosen, though, because he looked damn good. I hope he doesn't disappear completely, but he's not. Braxton Berrios is the type of player to me who's been an underdog his whole life.
Yeah.
And when he's in the lead for something, I don't see him giving up without a dogfight, man. I just don't think that's going to happen. Berrios is going to be a big time player in this team this year. When there's a 3rd and a 7 in a big game,
yeah, you're gonna go.
And we
need
to move the chains because he's going to open the middle of the field is going to be open, and we don't have a tight end that's going to attack the middle of the field. Berrios is going to be a big chain mover in this offense.
Going over to the Sun Sentinel in their recap of today's events. Defense ruled once again Thursday as the Dolphins held their 7th training camp practice, 3rd in pads. First with referees, which turned out to be a factor, but according to one player, significant progress has been made in an area that was a major problem last season. Christian Wilkins was a terror Thursday as he's been throughout training camp, and edge rusher Bradley Chubb joined in the fun as 2 made life tough on the offensive line and the quarterbacks. However, offensively, quarterback Tua Tagovailoa was okay, although he threw his 2nd interception in 3-on-3s of training camp. However, his rhythm with wide receiver Tyreek is improving every day. The downside for the offense was penalties. Refs threw at least 5 false start flags. The good news for the offense is the chain of command for getting plays to the huddle is being smoothed out, according to Raheem Mostert. This was an issue in the Buffalo wildcard game, and afterward, left tackle Terran Armstead said it would be a focal point of the offseason. Apparently, he was right. The play calls definitely have been something that's been an emphasis here in regarding the timing. He said, if you look at how we operate, the starters at least, we have a play clock in the end zone. Tua does a great job of receiving the play, giving it out by at least 20 seconds. 15 is the cutoff. So he still has some wiggle room to get those call in. And also have the coach tell him, hey, look, this is the play that you need. This is the receiver that you got to look for because they're in this coverage. And then once it cuts off, it cuts off. But the timing aspect is definitely something we emphasize this offseason going into OTAs and now in training camp, and something we're utilizing and trying to understand. Stock up Andrew Van Ginkel, because he had a big day with a sack, tackle for a loss, and a pressure. Stock down was the offense for Chris Perkins. Said, again, the 5 false start penalties. And he said the run game was mostly stymied today, too. Talks about wide receiver. Erik Ezukanma left practice with a trainer about halfway through the session, and Bradley Chubb was seen shaking his arm late in practice. Tanner Connor and Nick Needham remain on the pup. Duke Riley and Malik Reed didn't participate. Quarterback Tagovailoa threw that interception to Xavier Howard in 3-on-3s, who was covering Robbie Chosen in a deep pass in the drill. But in a game, that pass likely wouldn't have been thrown because Chosen was double covered by Howard and Trill Williams and wasn't open. So there you go, safety Trill Williams. So Howard and Trill, there you go. David Davis, he had a touchdown pass from James Blackman. Eli Apple had a pass breakup against River Craycraft. Apple hadn't had much action 11-11, and it seems they're bringing him along slowly. Eventually, to compete with cornerback Kader Kohu in the base and nickel defenses. Tyreek Hill had his most active day of training camp in the connection with Tagovailoa, which started slowly in camp. Seems to be coming along nicely. Devon Achane dropped a sure touchdown pass from Mike White with Aubrey Miller in coverage. Still, Achane, the third-round pick, is having a nice camp and had a big day, especially on screen passes. Bradley Chubb had his second-best camp, who's had the second-best camp among defensive players after defensive lineman Christian Wilkins had at least a sack and a half today. Cam Good knocked tight end Julian Hill to the ground on a run play. Saubert dropped a pass from Tagovailoa. And aside from Durham Smythe, none of the tight ends have been very active in camp. Elijah Campbell had a pass breakup on the goal line on a Thompson throw to Hill. And Cam Smith had a pass breakup to Craycraft. Now, we talked about something that was an issue last offseason on the last recap, Neal. That was the false starts, the penalties, the pre-snap penalties. Another big issue was getting the play calls in time. And that's something that Teron Armstead and this team has emphasized. And see, on the flip side, we're being this objective as it gets, people. We're objectively calling out the bad, and now we're objectively highlighting the good, Neal, because that is very, very positive news to hear that it is a much smoother transition getting the play call in and the timing that this offense is operating at, getting up to the line of scrimmage. That's a big positive, Neal, and that's something that we knew they needed to emphasize working on heading into the season.
Yeah, with experience, they're going to get better at it, and that's exactly why you hired Vic Fangio. So Vic's worrying about the defense. You got a head coach coaching the defense. You got Mike McDaniel let's get this, as pristine as possible in the offense, get the rhythm. Like a lot of people forget that, like, Mike McDaniel was a first-time head coach.
Mm-hmm.
He was the offensive coordinator, and they had at some point in the season to make maneuvers on defensive side of the ball because the communication just wasn't good, right? And because of that, like, there was a lot thrown at Mike McDaniel. I feel like Mike McDaniel is going to be more in his element, more comfortable in his element, and really gets to focus on what his strengths are to this team. And I think the offense is just going to be way smoother this year. And I think just across the board in anything you do, right? Once you've done something and you're seeing it for the second time, you grasp it better. You understand it better.
Agreed.
You're getting more comfortable in the language of it. And there's a lot of continuity there, right? Like, I know that there's Braxton who's new and there's Devon Achane that's new. But for the most part, a good portion of your team, especially the starters on this football team, are here for the encore. So I think you're going to see a much more fluid, a lot more rhythm, a lot more chemistry. It's just going to be much more, it's going to be a well-oiled machine where last year, there's a lot of talent, but they were going through growing pains together for sure. Like, that clock moves fast. And, Mike McDaniel probably, had a lot too much going on last year. The game's going to slow down for him a lot this year as well.
Yeah. All right, heading over to SI and what they said here. On SI, highlights, lowlights, and observations from the 7th practice of Dolphins training camp. The Dolphins were back at practice after having the day off and saw officials at the camp. Unfortunately, we also saw a lot of flags. Again, consecutive practice. Ramsey showed up on crutches. Bradley Chubb was seen shaking his right arm after play with the team and late in drills. And Erik Ezukanma and offensive lineman Dan Feeney There you go. Dan Feeney, too. We hadn't heard that in the other reports. Neal also appeared to sustain minor injuries during practice. Malik Reed sat out. So did Keon Cross and Ethan Bonner. Brandon Jones and Trill Williams once again wore red non-contact jerseys and took part in a limited number of team snaps, but Trill out here making plays. Jalen Waddle wore the orange jersey and was the top performer from yesterday, though many agreed it should have been David Long. First competitive situation of practice involved one-on-one work with defensive linemen against the offensive linemen in pass rushing situations, along with DBs versus receivers, running backs versus linebackers, and pass protection. There was some good work there by rookie Devon Achane in pass protection and by Channing Tindall. I heard he took 4 reps, and I heard he won 3 of them, Devon Achane. In the meantime, there was a 3-on-3 receiver versus DB session at the other end of the field. Xavier Howard got himself a pass breakup and interception. Deshaun Elliott also had 2 pass breakups in that drill. Elijah Campbell had a nice pass breakup. Wilkins continued his brilliant camp, and he got into the backfield for a would-be sack on Tua on the first snap at 11-11. He had a couple of plays against the run where he met the running back at the line. Connor Williams had his first high shotgun snap, and he created pressure on Tagovailoa before he had to scramble out. Andrew Van Ginkel had a tackle for a loss on a run by Miles Gaskin, also had a sack and a pressure. Zach Steeler was also very noticeable against both the run and in the pass rush. Braxton Berrios came up with a nice low catch, though the play probably would have ended with Jalen Phillips getting a sack on Tua. Achane had a nice run and some catches in team sessions, but also dropped a low but highly catchable pass in the end zone by Mike White. On the last play of the session that featured 2 false starts and a defensive pass interference on Kader Kohu against Tyreek Hill, Tua threw a 25-yard completion to a wide-open Hill down the left sideline after Noah Benogany fell after trying to press him at the line. Cornerback Justin Bethel had a would-be sack against Skylar Thompson, but he was beaten for a touchdown pass from White to Berrios. Among offensive linemen who had noticeable blocks were Kendall Lamb and Lester Cotton. Tight end Erik Saubert dropped a perfectly thrown ball over the middle. Mitchell Agudier had another sack, but this one came with White had to pull down a high shotgun snap from Alama Ulave. Stop us if you've heard this before, but rookie cornerback Cam Smith had another nice pass breakup. In the end zone, he dove in front of River Craycraft to bat away a pass from Skylar Thompson. Tua had nice completions over the middle of the field and 11-11 work. He had a touchdown pass on the nice back shoulder completion to Hill with Howard in tight coverage. Linebacker Cameron Good had a tackle for a loss on a run in the red zone. And on the next play, Skylar Thompson threw a short touchdown pass to tight end Durham Smythe on a play that took a really long time to develop. Chris Brooks, here you go, who had a 95-yard touchdown run at the end of practice, had a nifty 6-yard touchdown run up the middle. Eli Apple had good coverage to force an incompletion. And among the quarterbacks, Tua had the best day with White probably in second. So there you go. They said White had the second best day, obviously Tua, but from their standpoint, not a fantastic day for Skylar Thompson if he finished third. And then there you go. The first people to report about Dan Feeney. We've gone over all these reports, and they were the first one. And another thing to take away is, again, don't box in Devon Achane with his size, because I heard he was very phenomenal in one-on-ones today. And finally, also from SI, Omar Kelly, stock up, stock down. For stock up, the guys he had today, his top play, this is what he said. Top play, I've been impatiently waiting to see if Devon Achane, who is all of 5'9", 188 pounds, which he's not 188 pounds. He's like over 193 now.
Yeah, remember, yeah. I was
Would
gonna
hold
say,
up a block as a pass protector in backs versus backers, which is a blocking drill. On Tuesday, the first day Miami had those one-on-one drills, I witnessed the former Texas A&M stand up rookie linebacker Aubrey Miller, keeping him from reaching the makeshift quarterback. He was the only tailback who won his rep that day, but because it was Miller who was on the small side as well, I wasn't jumping to conclusions. On Thursday, Achane was an effective blocker on 3 of 4 reps against various linebackers, and his only loss was against Jerome Baker. His top performers, Christian Wilkins, every year. Wilkins turns up the volume on his game, and he highlights he's dominant daily. Nothing more needs to be said about his daily performances, which sets the tone for the entire practice. Andrew Van Ginkel. Van Ginkel is having one of his tougher camps because he's being asked to work 2 spots. However, The absence of Malik Reed, who was sidelined with an undisclosed injury, gave the 50-year veteran an opportunity to lock in as an edge player, and Van Ginkel's presence was felt in 11-11 work today. And we know that he had a tackle for a loss, a sack, and a pressure. Cam Smith, likely, man, he had him on a stock down because he was complaining, Neal, on one of his last stock downs, his last stock down in the last camp. He was complaining that Cam Smith wasn't getting interceptions, that he was breaking up too many passes. But now he's put him in stock up for the pass breakup. So you go figure this one out.
There's a reason he's playing corner and not wide receiver.
Yeah, Smith likely leads training camp practice and pass breakups, pulling down at least one pass breakup a day. During Miami's 7th practice, he knocked down a Thompson pass to Craycraft. The fact that this was the first day referees were on and Smith didn't get hit with a penalty is also a good sign that he's learning to be less handsy with receivers. Smith continues to practice at this level. He'll eventually get a tryout with the starting defense, being test-driven as Jalen Ramsey's replacement. His stock down. WIlkins takes Eichenberg's lunch money every day. And while it's not just Eichenberg that WIlkins is beating for pressure, sacks, tackles for losses, the ease with which WIlkins can defeat Eichenberg on one-on-one hits, there's a technique issue that needs to be fixed. Eichenberg's status as a 2021 second-round pick and the fact Miami sent the New York Giants a 2022 third-round pick to move up in that round to get him likely means he'll be given extra opportunities to prove himself as a starting left guard, but he's leaving the door open. And someone like Isaiah Wynn, who has 40 NFL starts on his resume, has a talent to kick it in. And guys, Omar tweeted out that there was a third player that entered that conversation today. Well, guess what? I'm going to have that news for you tonight when I do my latest 3 Takes episode, which will be coming for all y'all. I'll give you the inside info on who that third player entering that battle today was, getting reps with the ones. I got it for you tonight. But Neal, your thoughts on Devin A-Chain holding it up, man? I mean,
yeah,
people just wrote him off as, oh, he's too small. And it took a seasoned veteran linebacker like Jerome Baker to give him a problem.
I got 3 main takeaways from everything you just went through. First of all,
Okay,
it looks like it's early, but it looks like Chris Grier knocked this draft out of the park.
Love it.
Devin A-Chain looks as good as advertised. I was boasting a couple weeks ago that I thought he was going to be one of the biggest stories at a training camp and the preseason. Maybe he's not the biggest, but he's well on his way. I think once the pads and the game starts going, he's a gamer. He's going to make big plays. Cam Smith, man, it's early, and you don't want to get too excited. But this is a franchise that found players like Xavier Howard, Sam Madison, Pat Surtain in round 2. I think we found our next great cornerback in the second round here in Cam Smith. I just, when we picked him, I know a lot of people were wondering why after with Jalen Ramsey. You stick to your board and you take great football players. And there was no reason that Cam Smith was on the board when the Dolphins were on the clock, and that's why it was a no-brainer selection. This guy's ready. He's going to get a lot thrown at him. He will get beat at times this year. So, let's not act like perfection is the bar. But this guy is going to fill in admirably for Jalen Ramsey. And I'm telling you, man, this guy's going to be a steal. Those are my takeaways. Draft class is great. On 3 players specifically, it's Liam Eichenberg, Austin Jackson, Noah Igbinoghene. Water is wet. The sky's going to be blue. The grass is going to be green. And those 3 players are never going to be good at football. That is how I see it. And I have no faith in any of them. And I don't want any of them playing meaningful football. And it kind of blends me into this conversation where, we've talked about Dalvin Cook a lot for a few months now. If the Dolphins got to set an internal clock and say, we're going to give him time. Because if I'm them right now, you know who I'm calling Reason? I'm calling Dalton Risner. And I'm saying, you visited the Vikings. We have a left guard need. What's your price? Because I think as much as Dalvin Cook would help this offense, right, in a scenario where we allow this thing to fester and play out longer and longer, a player like Dalton Risner could come off the board. I want to see Tua behind a competent offensive line this year. I don't want this season to fall on its face because of Liam Eichenberg. That guy does not deserve that much pressure. So that. And then the final thought is they got to get this deal done with Christian Wilkins, man. I've come on here and say defensive tackles are easy to find, that you got to make a decision to move on. You can't move on from Christian Wilkins. He might be your franchise player at this point. He is that good of a football player. Mm-hmm. And I think it's like we talked about earlier, good mojo. What a precedent to set. You're the guy that's the foundation, the first building block we added to this transformation from us being the laughingstock to a Super Bowl contender. He's such a good leader, man, and he's so crucial to play with those guys on the defensive line. So those are my takeaways, man. Get Wilkins locked up. If Dalvin's not going to sign here, get Dalton Risner in here because Eichenberg cannot sink this season. And this rookie class, and the NFL stole a first-round pick from us, but, man, did we find 2 studs or what?
Yeah. Shout out to Kevin Williams. He just became a channel member.
Oh, nice.
Coach AJ says, assuming they all ball out, who gets the extension first? Waddle,
All
Phillips,
3.
or Holland? If you could only sign 2, who would you letting walk? Not going to let any one of them
All
walk.
3 of them. I'm cutting Bradley Chubb if I have to. I'm cutting Jalen Ramsey if I have to. I'm not letting any of those young players in the prime of their careers go, ever.
Did Chubb hurt his hand today? We talked about it multiple times today. Tricky Taurus. He got it shaken up. It looks like Ezukanma and Dan Feeney are going to be the ones that you're going to want to keep an eye on. And then finally, Giancarlo says, I see it chosen as a plug-in player. He's been catching everything thrown his way, even though they don't throw a lot of plays his way. Offense indeed today. Thumbs up because Giancarlo has been at the he's been at the practices.
Oh, cool.
So all right, guys. So on Saturday, we have got the first controlled scrimmage. So, man, we're going to be back Saturday. Tomorrow, they're off, FYI. Anything you want to add, Neal, before we quickly get out of here?
Man, I can't wait. This is the best time of the year, man. Sitting here talking real football about the team we love with real players. I mean, I said this. I said this team could have folded easily when Jalen Ramsey went down, right? Like, just our luck. Here we go again. We get this big acquisition that doesn't pan out. This version of the Dolphins is different because they fight back, man. There is something different in the water, the culture. This team is just completely different to what we're accustomed to. This is new water for me. I have not seen a team play with this kind of energy and swagger in a long time. You could just see it in the videos. This isn't, let's go through the motions. It's hot. I just got to get through practice. I'm getting a big check in Miami, right? This team is committed to winning. They're well coached. They have talent everywhere. This team has a chance to be very, very dangerous, and not just this year, for a long time. I enjoy this because it's been a long time coming, and our loyalty was probably, it was probably tested a lot. But this is what I've been waiting for 20 years, man, is a team that has this look and feel, because I'll say this, without Jalen Ramsey with them, this team could beat anyone at any given time because they're not afraid of those big showdowns. And I can't wait to beat the shit out of Atlanta next week. I can't wait for those practices. I can't wait for the preseason. Inject Dolphins football right into my veins. Let's go.
All right. So we got the controlled scrimmage on Saturday, joint practices on this week. So, and then we got our first preseason game next weekend. So a lot of stuff coming your way, a lot of meaningful stuff coming your way. And I will see all of y'all on Saturday, unless some news breaks tomorrow and Dalvin makes a decision. I will see all of y'all on Saturday. Until that time, everyone have a fantastic Thursday night. As always, fins up, and we will see you next time. Take it easy, everyone.